Hi, I'm Steve Younis. Welcome to the Superman homepage Speeding Bulletin, your Superman news video recapping the events of the world of Superman for the week May 1st to May 7th, 2015. Our top news stories this week included Supergirl gets an official series order from CBS, Injustice Gods Among Us Year 4 begins, and a new young adult novel about Lois Lane went on sale this week. Let's check out these stories and more in this week's Speeding Bulletin. In movie news, during an appearance on The Tonight Show, Jesse Eisenberg, who will play Lex Luthor in Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice, told Jimmy Fallon that he wasn't a huge fan of superheroes and comic books when he was younger.
Were you a big superhero fan or a comic book fan when you were growing up, or Superman?
No, I mean, I didn't mind it, but
It wasn't torture or anything.
Yeah. No, but I knew nothing about it. I think it must have maybe skipped my very brief window of generation, maybe like 5 years, because I didn't know anything about it. But I knew older people that really liked it, and then I have a younger cousin who's very young, he's 4, and he loves it.
Machinima made its debut at the Digital Content News Fronts, which took place in New York from April 27th to May 7th, by announcing a slate of programming designed to elevate and celebrate a global community of gamer, comic and hero fans through the most innovative content on the internet. Amongst the announcements was a second season renewal for Justice League Gods and Monsters Chronicles, a series of animated shorts that feature much darker versions of Superman, Batman and Wonder Woman. The first season of Justice League Gods and Monsters Chronicles is set to launch next month, with the Justice League Gods and Monsters animated movie being released on Blu-ray and DVD on July 28th. In TV news, the Supergirl TV show has officially received a series order at CBS. Melissa Benoist, who will star as Kara Zor-El, aka Supergirl, celebrated the news with a super slice of cake. Look for the pilot episode to premiere sometime in September. In comic book news, Newsarama.com caught up with writer Heath Corson to talk to him about his new Bizarro comic book title, which begins in June, which will see Jimmy Olsen co-star with Bizarro in a comical adventure that leads the two down Route 66. He said it's a buddy picture. Jimmy is our Steve Martin to Bizarro's John Candy. He thinks that in taking Bizarro on this road trip, he'll get fame, fortune and a coffee table book out of it. But because he's doing it for the wrong reasons, it gives us the ability to knock him around a little, make him pay for it. DC Entertainment will be launching a new product line of hardcover collected editions of classic DC Comics stories, together with an animated movie based on the story on Blu-ray and DVD, which will be embedded in the inside back cover of the hardcover book. There will be 6 in the September release, priced at $26.99 each. Additionally, DC Entertainment will release a slipcase edition, which will include all 6 titles for $145.99. The 6 titles include Batman Black and White, The Death of Superman, Batman Year 1, Justice League Origin, JLA Earth 2, and Wonder Woman Gods and Mortals. Brian Buccellato, the writer in charge of Injustice Gods Among Us, has participated in a number of interviews to discuss the start of Year 4, labelled as the Year of the Gods. When ComicVine.com asked him how much time has passed between the end of Year 3 and the start of Year 4, he said it's a few months. Things have settled down as Batman has gone underground and the regime is in full effect. Superman sits on his metaphoric throne as tyrant. He does still have the infernal Batman itch to scratch and won't rest until he knows Batman is out of the picture. Comic books we reviewed this week included Superman number 40, which was reviewed by Adam DeChannel, who gave it a 1 out of 5, saying, awful clunky dialogue, embarrassing. T.A. Hewitt reviewed Justice League number 40, saying, the story as a prologue works well, and he rated it a 3 out of 5. Convergence number 4 was reviewed by Jeremiah Bohr, who gave it a 3 out of 5, saying, there is little to critique in this issue because very little happens. Convergence Action Comics number 1 was reviewed by Michael Bailey, who said, it's hard to get all that excited about something that has such a definite endpoint, but he still rated it a 4 out of 5. Jeremiah also reviewed Convergence Booster Gold number 1, saying, if you're a fan of Booster, especially the Jeff Johns to New 52 era, then you will like this book, and he rated this a 3 out of 5. Convergence Detective Comics number 1 was reviewed by Michael J. Petty, who gave it a 4 out of 5 score, saying, it was very cool to see Red Sun Superman in a new adventure. Jeremiah also reviewed the Superman story in Divergence number 1, the free comic book day offering from DC Comics, saying, I gave this story a 4 out of 5 because of the problem with Lois. Injustice Year 3 Annual Number 1 was reviewed by T.A. Hewitt, who gave it a 1 out of 5, saying, "The amount of inconsistencies in both stories prompt the question, has either of these two writers read Injustice Gods Among Us?" Superman comics available this week from May 6th include Injustice Year 4 Chapter 1 digital comic went on sale May 5th, Convergence number 5, which is available in a variant Tony S. Daniel cover, a Jerome Opener variant cover, and an Ivan Rice Cyborg sketch variant cover, Convergence Justice League number 2, which is available in a variant cover, Convergence Superman number 2, which is also available in a variant cover, Batman Superman Volume 3 Second Chance hardcover, Batman Superman Volume 2 Game Over trade paperback, Smallville Season 11 Volume 6 Alien trade paperback, and Superman vs. Darkseid trade paperback. It's time to decorate your room with the Superman wall clock. Grab this DC Comics Superman logo wobble clock for $36.88. Or how about a DC Comics classic Superman wall clock, also $36.88. These and other great Superman wall clocks are available from your one-stop Superman shop, the Superman homepage online store at supermanhomepage.com/shop. And in other news, author Gwenda Bond spoke with comicvine.com about this week's release of her young adult novel Lois Lane Fallout, in which Lois Lane is starting a new life in Metropolis. She said, "The great thing about Lois is that she doesn't have superpowers, but she's still a superhero. Any of us can be like her. I feel like setting this in a slightly more realistic world enhances that." You can order Fallout from our online store now. Look for a review on the site very soon. Sideshow Collectibles has released a preview image of their upcoming Superman Red Sun premium format figure. Pre-orders for this figure will begin on Thursday, March 14th, with Red Sun, Wonder Woman and Batman following in the future. The Superman homepage Super Trivia quiz has been updated for another month, and the 3 questions we're asking you this time around are: what are the first 4 words spoken in the Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice teaser trailer? What are the first 4 words spoken by Jor-El in Superman the movie? And in the movie Superman 2, when the little boy whom Superman saves from falling into Niagara Falls says, "Again, again," what is Superman's response to him? If you think you know the answers to all 3 questions, come by the site now and submit your entry. That's all the news there was for the week May 1st to May 7th. I'm Steve Younis from supermanhomepage.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Great Scott! Great Scott! Great Scott!
Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Great Scott. I'm Scotty V. Thanks for watching. So I know it's a few weeks past now, and I know I've already talked about my review to the trailer, and I've mentioned the IMAX event a few times. I went to this IMAX event, I talked about it a little bit, and I've heard from people in the past that I'm a critic, or that I'm sarcastic, or that I'm cynical, or that I'm negative, and I tend to be, at times, all of those things, but if you look back over my archives, you'll notice that at least half of the time I'm very excited, and I'm very positive, and I'm looking very forward to something, some story, a comic book arc, a movie, a trailer, something that happened, and I am very excited now. As a whole, I'm very excited about March of 2016 because we have our Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice movie coming out for us, and I'm looking forward to it. I love a movie that has Superman in it. I love a movie that has Batman in it that's good. While I didn't like the Nolan films, as I've expressed many times, I'm looking forward to this new take on Batman. I like Ben Affleck. I've liked him for a long time. I've liked him since he started directing. I like him in his older range and in some of the roles he plays. I've heard people say Ben Affleck's going to be Ben Affleck in whatever movie we see. And I've kind of noticed that kind of thing with like Harrison Ford or Nicolas Cage or any of these iconic, legendary screen presences. They really don't alter their performances all that much from one role to another, which is generally the definition of a great actor, being able to embody a role and really enveloping themselves into it to where you can almost not tell the difference. I think this is the difference between, for instance, a Johnny Depp or a Harrison Ford, where I love Harrison Ford, and I'm not the hugest fan of Johnny Depp, but Johnny Depp kind of changes his whole thing for every role, whereas Harrison Ford doesn't necessarily do that. On the other hand, though, I think with Ben Affleck, I feel like he's really developed as an actor, and I really buy him in most of the roles that I see him in. I'm not talking about the old ones. I'm not going back to Daredevil where everybody's complaining, even though I don't think that was his fault. I think his take on Batman, and I think this idea of an older, more grizzled Batman who was kind of retired but now finds it necessary to come back is an interesting one, especially if you're a Batman fan and that's what you're looking forward to. What I have complained about is that I would have rathered a proper Superman sequel than a movie that has to have Batman in it. But now that we have that, and now that we're getting used to it, and now that we're seeing scenes like this that are taken directly from a book, Superman Peace on Earth, and we have scenes with Batman doing things like holding a sniper rifle, which is directly from The Dark Knight Returns, which is a big, big hit with Batman fans, even though I think it horribly presented Superman, I think maybe they're taking some of the coolest elements from some of these stories, and the idea that Superman wants to be a savior to everyone, but doesn't necessarily know how to do it, and doesn't necessarily want the adoration of it. But at the IMAX event, I was really excited. I took some time off from work, drove all the way down to Philly because that's where it was, and I hear people saying, well, nobody forced you to drive to Philly. Nobody made you do it. No one, controlled your mind like Grodd on the Flash episode this week and put you in the car and made you go to Philly. No. But I was very excited, and Zach was tweeting out, I think it was Damage Control, you'll see extra footage, you'll get swag, which was trying to make sure that it was still a popular event, even though the trailer had already leaked. Their plan was to release the trailer only at this event first. Then after we would have gotten to see it. So I drove down there. I was looking forward to it. I was hoping we'd get like a Dark Knight type of experience where we saw a whole scene or where we saw more of a scene. And we did, but only a few seconds worth. And I've also heard the complaint, no, there were two whole parts of the trailer that were filmed in IMAX that were only shown at the IMAX event. So if your eyes are able to tell the difference between what you saw in the HD trailer and what you're seeing on IMAX, then maybe you were able to experience something wholly different. Now, what was different about it and what was cool about it was a fan experience. The people who were there are obviously very hyped about it. What I noticed was that it was a mix, but there seemed to be more Batman fans who were saying things like, oh, he's going to beat him down, that kind of thing, which always bothers me, but you're going to have that on both sides. But here's what I notice, and at least from my point of view, I don't stand around going, oh, Superman's going to beat Batman down. I just kind of go, it's going to be a situation where probably Superman is weakened, and for some reason, Batman in the wrong, thinking that Superman is a threat and thinking that he needs to beat him down or stop him in some way, is going to fight. And Stan Lee once said that the best way to handle a superhero versus situation is have neither of your superheroes come out on top or lose. So it's probably going to be a draw type of thing, but the only way they can do that is by weakening Superman significantly. So it's still not really that Batman's able to hold his own against Superman. He's only able to hold his own against a weakened Superman. But I was very disappointed by the event because it was only a few seconds of extra footage. And yes, a few of the scenes were shot in true IMAX that we didn't get to see before that, but I don't believe your eye can tell the difference. And here's what I actually noticed. If you notice now on the screen behind me, you'll see that the men he has kneeling before him in this scene, you before Superman or Kal-El, have the S shield on their shoulders. That's what it looks like. And you couldn't even see that in the IMAX. And IMAX is supposed to be so much more powerful and have so much more resolution and be so much more brilliant. So I was looking for that, and what I saw was darkness. And I know that Zack and the DC Universe on film is going for the darker, more gritty, more realistic vibe. And in some ways people like that, and in some ways people don't. I'm not even going to talk about that now, but sometimes this is kind of evidence of how the film comes out when it's finished, or where you see it, or what screen you see it on. Not that this scene is particularly bright even here, but you can certainly make out the red shields on their shoulders. In the theater, the IMAX theater, it was all black. It looked like a bunch of guys dressed in complete black kneeling. And I think what's going on here, as I said last week, is this is probably some sort of fanatical cult that believes worshiping him is the right way to go, and maybe he's going there to tell them that's not what he wants. So it was disappointing in that way. I didn't find the resolution better. I found it darker and harder to see. And then they added that little scene where I'm sure you've heard about it. They rush at each other at the end, and it's about 5 or 6 seconds. And I've exaggerated and said 4 seconds or 1 second. It's a little longer than that, but it wasn't really worth the drive, the time off from work. I lost money. Again, nobody forced me. I wanted to do it. And clearly I'm excited about it or I wouldn't have done it. So it was a positive thing to have done. There were fans there. The person that I went with, we went to eat afterwards, and we actually sat with someone who was waiting in line with us, who seemed cool. He had a Superman shirt on, although he did say, well, this isn't really what I wanted to wear. It was just the thing that was closest to me. So I'm not sure if he was embarrassed to talk about the fact that he loved wearing a Superman shirt, or if he's a bigger fan of Batman, or I don't know what his deal was, but he wore a Superman shirt to the event, and then he kind of talked bad about it. So I'm not sure sometimes what fans are so embarrassed about being a fan of Superman, or why they want to, I guess, fit in with the cool crowd and say Superman's not cool, or whatever. I'm not exactly sure, but overall, I'm glad to have done it, and we did get the swag, the 2 posters, and a free ticket to the movie next year. I was hoping that I'd be wearing an IMAX event t-shirt with one of the poster pictures on it. That was what I was hoping the swag would be, or maybe a hat or something. And yeah, you could say we were being greedy and got free stuff. We didn't get free stuff because we didn't go. But I went. I did what I had to do to get it, but the excitement and the promise of what it could be wasn't as good as I had hoped it would be. Thanks everybody for watching, and remember, always look up in the sky.
Or don't.